Welcome back to the On The Haus podcast. I'm Joey Hauser, of course, with my brother Sam and the Big House, our dad. And this is our fifth installment of the On The Haus podcast. Today is Saturday, December 15th. We are recording this. We got a special guest coming on today. We got Steven Izzo who's going to be joining us halfway through. He was my teammate at Michigan State. Obviously, he's the son of Basketball Hall of Fame inductee Coach Izzo, but me and Steven went into Michigan State at the same time together, and we've been pretty good friends since. So it's gonna be good to have him on and kind of pick his brain a little bit about some good stories that he has from his time at Michigan State and growing up. So we're excited about that one.
Excited to see it, Steven. Be a good time for him to be on here. Good comments, I'm sure. Good stories.
Yeah, I've never really talked to Steven really that much in person, so I guess it'll be good to talk to him through podcast.
All right, let's get into it. So before we get going, we got our one shout out of the podcast. It's back to me this week. And I got a very special shout out. I'm shouting out Nick Ritchie, head athletic trainer of the Michigan State men's basketball team. Athletic trainers at the college level. Yeah, give him. I was trying to think of one off the top of my head, and Nick Ritchie always was, when you're a head athletic trainer for a Tom Izzo-led program, it's not very easy trying to explain to coach why guys might not be able to practice that day because they're a little banged up and whatnot. But athletic trainers, they don't get their praise often enough. Wanted to shout him out. He always kept things light in the office, kept things light when we were on the road, and always was there to take care of you when you had a little injury. So would do anything for his players and sacrifice lots of time to be with us. So just wanted to give him a quick shout out.
I'll say as a parent, when your child or they go away for college or whatever reason and there is an injury, the trainer is a lifeline for a parent. And Nick was unbelievable. Called us even when there was, nothing major, but maybe just an update, and was really comforting and helped parents sleep at night. And I appreciate Nick for everything he did for you when you were there. And then I think he's just one of those invaluable pieces that maybe sometimes get overlooked in programs.
Trainers are people too.
Shout out to all the trainers keeping players on the field, on the court.
I've gotten lucky at Marquette.
Yeah,
we had Brandon Yoder, who was an awesome trainer, really awesome guy.
Shout out to Yoder.
Yep, shout out to Yoder.
Yep, good beard guy. Yep.
And Nick Ritchie, he's right up there. One of the best to do it at the college level. Yeah, let's get right into it. Let's get right into our recent updates here. Dad, why don't you start us off? I see you got some good notes here, some good updates back from some Spash winter sports rolling.
Yeah, we've had a really good start. We're fully flowing right now. Girls basketball went down, took a couple lumps early here, but then they recovered well, playing really well. Our trainer's been a little busy with a couple of those players, but all good. Boys, unfortunately, suffered a loss last night, but they've had a good start to the season. Boys hockey, a couple big wins. They played the rivalry game up at Wausau West. I don't remember if you two ever got to go to that game.
No, I don't think
it's the
so.
split game.
I think I went to one in high school.
Yeah, I think Sam did.
So it was when you're the away team, when you score your first goal, then the students throw the squid on the ice. So it's kind of a cool tradition. I know it sounds just trying to prep our students who've been awesome all year. Like, hey, make sure when you throw it on the ice, you don't hit anybody, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the AD's got to be at that game.
Yeah, there was a lot of people. Well, it was a great crowd. Wausau West is a formidable opponent, so the arena was full, standing room only, so it was a great environment and pretty intense game. West played well. We were fortunate to get a win. Wrestling, our wrestling program, we have the most girls in the program we've had ever. We've got about 8 or 9 girls wrestling now, and they've got their own schedule, and they came back from a tournament last week, and a couple girls did really successful. A couple brand new girls that are just kind of getting an idea what it takes. Our boys team lost to Wausau West 37-30 the other night, which comes down to one match or 2 matches, and we rolled through the first 5 or 6, and then they got us on the back end there. And so, but it's been a great start. Gymnastics is going good. The most girls we've had in the program for a while. Then our girls hockey team has had a great start. They're playing right now. They're down 1-0. One of their players from Spash, Jenna Jones, was the player of the week for Zaleski or Wisconsin Sport Network. She was one of those. So we've had a really great start. And then obviously we got Century Classic rolling around the corner here for basketball coming up.
Always fun.
Love that.
And then where are you and Mom at right now?
I'm in Dallas at the National Athletic Directors Convention.
Thought you were in Austin.
Yeah, I thought you were in Austin.
Austin. I'm in Austin. That's right. We flew through Dallas. Yeah. I keep getting it mixed up when you're in Texas, but yeah, Austin. So we're doing that for a few days. I'm just kind of getting them. A lot of vendors, like the big vendors, your our schools vendors, your huddle vendors, your national vendors, turf and new programs. It's kind of like you get a peek in what the next cutting edge is coming maybe down the pipe for technology or facilities. Then you get to, obviously go to breakout sessions and interest areas that you want. So I've got a list of things I'm doing today, and then obviously tomorrow, Monday and Tuesday, and it's just kind of gets a good vibe, kind of gets you regenerate a little bit, talk to different people, kind of see what they're doing, strategies, but also get some new ideas.
I'm more concerned about what kind of food you're getting while you're down there. Hopefully some good spots.
Last night, salmon I had last night was incredible at this meal we had last night. So today was the standard American breakfast at the hotel.
Is it free? Free at the hotel, right?
I had a voucher because the M Club is closed. But Vince Young, former Texas quarterback, got a restaurant right over here. So
Sweet.
And I'm going to a little place tomorrow called Joe's. It's called Joe's Good Coffee and Breakfast. And I just kind of walked the area today. I didn't have any sessions till later here, and went to the farmers market. It was a little low, but then I walked around like this area just to see where everybody was waiting in line. And there was a little cafe down
That's
here.
a good assessment.
Yeah, got in there a little bit later to check it out. Then I went down to by this Joe's, and I'll be definitely hitting that for breakfast tomorrow morning.
Can't wait to hear the reviews on that one.
Sounds like a nice little trip. That's a good strategy. Sam, what you got going on, Sam? Looks like you guys are on the road.
Yeah, this is we've been in a long homestand, it feels like. We didn't make the in-season tournament, so we got scheduled one home game, and then this is our second game we got scheduled, and it's on the road. Just a quick one-day trip in D.C. Recently had my birthday, 27.
Happy birthday. 27, Jesus.
27, yeah. Catching you, Dad.
Yeah. It was a good day when that ball sack came flying out of there. It was a great day.
Yeah. Teddy's officially over 3 months.
Yeah. Is he over 10 pounds?
He is. He's probably over 12 now. So he's packing on weight, just guzzling milk. So he's doing his thing.
Good for him.
And then, it hasn't really been much going on this last couple of weeks. We've just been at home, and Aunt Beth sends out a Christmas trivia question every day. So that's been fun.
Yeah, the trivia started.
25 questions,
Yep. So
any
it's
tough
been fun.
ones yet?
A lot of tough ones, and somehow Brad has gotten all of them. I don't know.
Cousin Brad, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't answer the ones that I don't know. So I'm only at 14 days. I'm only like 8 out of 14. 8 guesses.
I don't get you the sense of me. Give me one you didn't know.
But let me read the one that was today. It was kind of a weird one.
I got it right because it was the only thing I could think of.
Let me see here. It is in Mexico. This flower is known as the flower of the Holy Night. Name that flower.
Wow. She's upped her game.
Well, I can only think of one flower pertaining to Christmas.
Cactus.
No, poinsettia.
Thanks for the answer, Joey. I haven't answered yet.
Well, that's all right. I was in last place anyways. Might as well help somebody else.
I mean, yeah.
Joey, explain what that is every year for people that are listening.
Our Aunt Beth, she pulls together our cousins, all the cousins, their wives or girlfriends, whatever, and she sends out a trivia question each day of the month during December, 25 days of Christmas essentially. And once it comes to Christmas time, we tally up the scores, and it's a little...
See who wins.
Yeah, it's a little skewed because I think some of the cousins might be Googling their answers. There's no way to there's no way to check that. They could just be Googling all the answers. So
then she sends out certain gifts, I think, to each person after it's done based on where you finish. I'm just hoping for some Chex Mix or Puppy Chow.
Yeah.
One of the two.
Puppy Chow. The Puppy Chow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I stay true to the game, so I've never finished in the top 3 because I don't Google the answers.
Yeah, Brad's wife, Cassie, she's good at it. I don't know if she's Googling or not, but she's usually at the top.
Yeah.
She's Googling.
Well,
Anyways.
Brad's getting the answers from her.
It gets us in. It gets you in the holiday spirit. That's what I love about it.
Yeah, it's good.
It does, and a lot of Christmas movies the last couple of weeks too. That's last update for me. It's been fun.
Yeah,
good movies for sure.
Well, we just got back to Atlanta. We had been on the road for, I want to say 10 days, a little bit of a road trip. We got the G League showcase coming up down in Orlando. That's always kind of fun because it kind of reminds you of it reminds me of the NCAA bubble a little bit. I mean, not everybody got to do that, but all the teams staying in one hotel and the games being played in like a ballroom essentially. And then we didn't make the G League, the top 8 teams actually compete for like the G League Showcase Cup. We didn't make that, but you still go down and play 2 games. So we'll go do that and then head up to Boston for a couple days for Christmas, and everybody will be together. We already got some things planned out. We got, most importantly, the first things we planned out was our meals.
Yeah, a lot of food going to be cooked.
Yeah.
Joe, you gotta explain exactly like what the G League Showcase is all about, though. Like, every team's there to watch, and just kind of explain it for.
It's big. I know a lot of front office, like NBA teams go, a lot of GMs go. You play essentially the G League is split up into 2 different seasons. So your first season is 14 games, and you're competing for potentially being in that top 8 teams that compete for the Showcase Cup down in Orlando. And then, based on like the NBA is doing
it's very similar to the NBA in-season tournament, just a little bit of a different format.
Yeah, except like once that is done, once the Showcase Cup is finished, everyone's record goes back to 0-0, and you play like a 35-game regular season starting right after Christmas. But yeah, everybody goes down there. Every G League team, I would assume most 2-ways and a lot of assignments will also be getting sent down to play in that. So it's fun. Like you get to be around. You see everybody that you've seen through pre-draft workouts, through playing in games. I'll see some of my old college teammates, guys I played in college. So it'll be good. And there's no like regular fans. I mean, it's in like I said, like a big convention center down in Orlando there. And it's really just like front office is watching and coaches, probably scouts. So it's pretty cool. Agents, I'm assuming as well. But
is there 2 games going on at a time or 1 game?
Yeah, there's 2 courts. There's 2 courts. Both of them are probably, I know the top 8 teams that are competing for it are usually on ESPN or ESPN2.
Yeah, something like that.
Last year when I was with the Clippers, we were in that top 8 and we lost our first game. And those teams do compete for, I want to say it's like 10 grand if you win. So a grand a guy pretty much. Maybe 50 grand. Maybe
I thought it was like 100 grand that you split between all the players.
Yeah, that might be right.
But that doesn't. But if you're an assignment guy or a 2-way though, you're not included in that. Yeah. So it's a big. I mean, it's big for the guys on the G League rosters.
Yeah, so it's a big deal. Not that you want to ever make games more important than they are, but like, it's like you're going down there to showcase yourself and your team. Obviously, your team does well. Everybody else kind of does well. So, it's pretty cool, pretty unique experience. Let's kind of dive into some sports. Sam, you kind of fill us in a little bit on the Celtics. I got a stat for you though.
Okay,
I don't know if
hit me with it.
I don't know if it's true anymore. I think you guys lost the game, but before that, Sam Hauser had the highest winning percentage of all time amongst NBA players that played at least 200 career NBA games. You were at 74.4%.
It was second place.
Second place was Magic Johnson, and third was Larry Bird. So you had some really good company.
How much do I got him by right now?
I didn't write down their numbers, but it was a slim, very small percentage. So you guys lost.
We lost once last week, so that might have brought it down a little bit.
But if you win,
that's pretty cool. Yeah, it's a pretty random stat, but it's pretty cool to just be in the same breath as those guys in any type of conversation is pretty sweet.
We'll just keep winning 3 out of 4 games, and it won't go down.
We'll just keep doing that.
Yeah.
And then I like it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Some other NBA news. I mean, you got apparently the ratings are just like way down. Everybody's not people aren't happy with the teams that made the NBA Cup. They were hoping for, Lakers, Celtics, and some of those teams to make it. But ratings are down, and LeBron's sitting out. Nobody really knows what's going on there. But, I mean, he's 40 years old. He should probably at this point be able to sit out whenever he wants.
Yeah, for sure. It's just like more of he's kind of basically he just put it as like he's taking some time away from the team.
Yeah.
And nobody really knows what that means when anybody does that. So hopefully everything's all right.
Yeah.
But it's probably some well-deserved time off for a 40-year-old in the NBA.
No doubt. Yeah. I mean, you can only imagine what that guy's body's been through.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. I can remember you at 40 years old barely squeaking in your last dunk that you ever had.
At the Indiana Hoosier. I mean, no. The Hoosiers court.
Yeah.
Like the movie.
Where it was shot.
Bouncy floor. Yeah.
Very famous videotape.
Well, I think it was low rims.
Bouncy floor.
Yeah, it's I mean, he's a freak. It's I don't know, those guys. You got to stay in that shape. I mean, you get out of that shape, you're done. You're cooked.
That's true.
Men's league doesn't really cover it.
I feel like some of it you can chalk up to like modern science, but that's just 99% genetics. That guy he's
gotta be
freak.
Yeah. It does. I mean, it does take care of his body though. With rehab and treatment and all that too. So that's part of it.
Yeah.
But,
Sam, how much do you think that guys like him in the NBA, like at that status level, maybe not his age, but like in their 10th, maybe how many of those guys like have like, is there somebody doing their daily nutrition for them when they're not with the team? And like, what kind of training service do you think they're using on the sides, or to just like, like Brady would use, or LeBron, or Al, or some of those guys?
It's pretty common to guys. A lot of guys have their own chef at home. So a lot of guys they got 3 meals cooked a day for them, really clean eating. And that's an important part. And then not everybody, like a lot of guys do trust the training staff within the organization and work with those guys. But there are some guys who have their own person on the side that they'll do extra work with even after they do a treatment session with like a trainer for the Celtics, for example. Guys who, when you're getting to your 10th, 11th year, even before then, it's important to just like kind of invest into your body, given that that's like the biggest part of your job is to have your body healthy. So it's worth the investment, especially if you're in your 10 plus 11th, 12th year. I mean, it's not easy playing 82 games a year, let alone the playoffs too. So got to do whatever you can to stay healthy and stay on the court and be able to withstand a season.
You think about the good habits that he's had to have, though, for that sustained.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
You think Zion's using the team chef, or he's got his own chef?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. If we get Trey Murphy on here ever, we'll have to ask him.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't ask him that. Let's talk some college, Dad. Why don't you fill us in on the UMD Bulldogs?
Well, UMD Bulldogs are just rolling, and they had their first conference road trip, and they took a couple of hits on that road trip. And then they came back and bounced back, but they were rated up as high as 4 in that range up there. So now they're back down, but they're still playing well. So they're off to a really good start. Locally, the Pointers had the Trine University in last Saturday.
Number one team in the country.
Defending national championships, and the Pointers took them down by, I believe, 4 or 5. I watched the second half of the game a little bit there. We were playing at the same time at Spash. So a huge win for them, big crowd.
Yeah, that's massive.
Yeah, don't sleep on Division III basketball. Terry Porter, alumni, UWSP. Yeah. I mean, last episode was a Division II episode. Now we got the Division III episode. Moving on to Michigan State basketball, 2-0 in Big Ten play. Looked really good. I mean, early on, people were talking, running their mouths about they can't do this, they can't do that. But they do a lot of good things. I don't think we were focused on things they do. They're really good defensively. They get to the free throw line, which is something we never did in my time. And teams really haven't done much in Coach Izzo's time, honestly. I was just talking to him about it, actually. They rebound the ball well. They're big, so they rebound, defend, and they'll make some shots.
That freshman Richardson, he's good.
He is really good. Yeah, they missed him for a game or two as well because he had a concussion, but he's really good for them off the bench. He kind of does a little bit of everything. So.
Yeah, he's a good
Yeah,
player.
we'll see. They got a game against Oakland. That's always a good one at Little Caesars in Detroit next Thursday.
It's a great game.
I want to say it's the two longest tenured coaches in NCAA at the one school, Izzo and Campy.
Might be right.
How long has the guy been at Gonzaga?
No, he's not longer than Izzo, I don't think.
Because Campy's been the longest.
Yeah, Campy's been there for like almost
35, 36?
Yeah, long time.
Let me check it real quick.
Yeah, while you check that, Sam, talk to us about.
I think they're 6-4 right now. They've played 3 ranked teams. Kind of got smacked by all of them. Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting year for them, to say the least. It's obviously what happened before the season's tough to kind of, it's a lot of adversity right away before your season even starts. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting year. They got some good players, just more they got to try to put it together as a team, which, it might take a while for them to kind of figure out what their identity is. And I don't know, it's tough watching right now, to be honest with you. Yeah,
I got a hunch they'll probably, like, you get in the conference play and play some teams twice. Like, Virginia's always going to play teams tough, so I don't think they're going to be, you don't think they'll be like the bottom of the conference.
No, I mean, I don't think they'll be worse than the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
But given what the standard has been the last 15 years,
exactly,
it's going to be below it. But, it's, like I said, it's tough to have that changing of the guard so abrupt to start the season. So
let's talk a little Packers. Dad's got the shirt hanging in the back there.
Got it. Brought it all the way to Texas with me.
Did you work out in that shirt, or you put it up there for the podcast?
Workout. I wore it on the plane down because I wanted people to know it's coming from back in the territory. And I was walking on the street today with it this morning when I went out for a walk, and the guys grabbed me. He's like, "Hey, there's a Packer bar down here."
There's Packer bars everywhere.
Yeah, somewhere I forgot.
Tough loss against Lions last week.
Man, they had it. I thought they kind of thought there was the offensive pass interference at the end of the game. I mean, they called it great, but then the Lions had the very similar play on the next possession that they didn't throw a flag on. It's like one of those pick plays, kind of.
Yeah.
So I thought we kind of got hosed on that, but overall, I think it just showed that we can kind of play with the top dogs. Yeah. So I'm excited about that.
If I'm a top seed in the come playoff time, I don't want to see the Packers. Like, yeah, that's a team I don't want to see. But they got to take care of business though and make sure they're in. I mean, they're going to be in, but
they got to get like 2 more wins and they're solidified pretty much.
Tough win against Seahawks this weekend, and I think it's in Seattle as well.
Yeah, what do we go? Seahawks. We go like Seahawks, Saints, Vikings, Bears, or something like
Still
that.
Still got the Bears, yeah. So
it's only like 4 weeks left.
I know, it's crazy.
I don't want to say this, but in honor of Mitch Peterson, I believe this could be the Lions' year.
No, they're good. They are good. Hopefully someone can knock them off before the Packers got to play them.
Or Mike chiming in on us either, but in honor of Mitch. I mean, they do it all. They were hurt. They had 13 guys out against the Packers.
Yeah, and they still beat us.
Just manhandle this on the offensive line. I mean, they're the real deal.
They're good.
Yeah, I really like Dan Campbell, and I'm obviously a Packer fan, but being in Michigan for 4 years of my life, like, they were so bad for so long. It's kind of like they're not playing the Packers. They're kind of fun to cheer for. Yeah. I'll say that.
I will say though, going for it that many times on 4th down, God, it got them beat last year to go to the Super Bowl. Yeah. You just hope it's not their Achilles heel again, because I don't know. Sometimes you just got to take points.
Yeah, they're the team to beat, though. They are. Yeah. I mean, Kansas City is obviously,
I don't know. I think the Eagles are rolling right now. The Eagles look good.
I like the Bills.
Yeah.
I like the
Those 4 teams right there are the teams that are the top dogs.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think anybody.
Goff can take you to the Super Bowl.
Well, he did once in his career.
He's been to a Super Bowl.
I know. I'm speaking.
Hey, you can't say that, Dad. He's a Friday beers guy.
He is.
Track my statement right now.
Yeah.
He's actually he roomed with one of the creators of Friday Beers.
Okay, well, I'm fully honest. He's on my team now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Tua right now has the all-time greatest completion percentage ever in a season to this point.
Crazy.
And he's beating Drew Brees' record for a season by like point, I don't know, like 5 right now. So that'd be kind of cool to see if he breaks that.
Is he going to meet like the minimum requirement for attempts? Because
Yeah, I think he will. Yeah, I would imagine.
Goff's got to be up there too. He was at like
He's definitely up there.
yeah.
He went like 5 weeks, and I think he
Threw,
maybe had like 4 completions.
Yeah, incompletions.
4 incompletions. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, he had a streak of
more touchdowns in a game than like incompletions,
and then like consecutive completions in a row. He had a record, and then Justin Herbert. Another side note here, hasn't thrown an interception in like 10 games. And I think if he goes 1 or 2 more games without throwing one, that's the longest streak ever without throwing a pick.
Josh Allen also just ran for a touchdown, caught a touchdown, and threw
one. A lot going on with these quarterbacks.
Yeah, and then he had 3 rushing touchdowns and 3 passing touchdowns the next week.
Yeah, he's in the MVP combo. I don't know if he is the MVP or not, but
it's going to be
interesting. There's a lot of guys that are in the mix right now.
Yeah. Well, on the other end of the spectrum, the Jets are absolutely awful. Aaron Rodgers is on the McAfee show deflecting blame, and he made some controversial comments about reporters, ex-NFL players, not ex-NFL players, making comments and trying to stay relevant with their comments. So it was a weird. I didn't really know what he was talking about, and all the guys on McAfee, you can see when he's talking, McAfee's like pointing to himself. He's like, "Me? Huh?"
I think he's talking about Ryan Clark, who kind of went at him on, I don't know what show that is, First Take or whatever.
Well, no, Ryan Clark. So then afterwards, Ryan Clark, Cam Newton,
he called him a fraud. I think he called
yeah. But he was saying that in response to what Aaron Rodgers said on McAfee. Him, Newton, and Stephen A. were just like saying like pretty much what he was saying was hypocritical, and that they did acknowledge he is one of the best throwers of all time, but they said he's a fraud, and he just doesn't have it anymore. And I hate to agree.
He doesn't look great lately.
Hey, he did throw for 300 yards, first time in
a while.
Yeah,
in a while, which is weird to think about.
Yeah,
but
I am excited though because he has the 3-part Netflix docuseries coming out on the 17th.
A couple days here.
Enigma.
Yeah. Okay.
It's gonna be weird. I think it's gonna change my opinions on Rodgers negatively. It's gonna show him doing all his ayahuasca stuff probably and darkness retreat. We'll see.
Be interesting.
Yeah.
Be interesting. To say the least though, the Packers front office, as much as it sucked to see him go, it's kind of the right choice.
Yeah, it was time.
Kind of the right choice.
Where do the Jets go from here? I feel bad for their fans.
Yeah, they're stuck.
They're happy being miserable, I think.
Yeah. How about ex-Packer Devondre Campbell? That whole situation.
That's a weird one. I don't know exactly what's going on, but from the looks of it, he just refused to go in the game and then walked to the locker room.
Got cut right away, right?
I would imagine.
I think he did. Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
They didn't cut him yet.
I think they cut him right away.
No, well, I read the article. Maybe it was an old one yet, but I read like if they cut him, they can't recover any of his signing bonus.
It's weird. So they have like a threshold on how long they have to keep him for that, or what?
Yeah, I'd have to read more about it. But the way it read is if they keep him and then they suspend him, they can keep some money that way. Then if they
I want to see what he says. Has he come out and said anything?
But I mean, Shanahan went out into the media and said his days are numbered as a 49er. And then there's been no teammate to like take his side on it. So obviously it was something's not right there.
Well, should we move on to a couple fan questions before we wrap this up with the wise words? Craziest fan experience you've ever had from 2018031.
Craziest Phoenix.
I got one.
I got a really. Oh yeah, you go first.
I got one. We were playing in Philly 2 years ago, and our bench obviously basically touches the baseline, front row seats. And there was this guy. We were standing up to watch a play. It was late in the game, and this fan kicked Blake Griffin in the foot or leg, and Blake wasn't really having that. And so he kind of let it slide, and then this fan starts yapping at him, saying some stuff, and then he kicks him again. All of a sudden, Blake turns around and kind of gives this guy the business right over the top of him. Mind you, like it's a tie game with like 30 seconds left. Me and Luke see what's going on, and both of us are fairly non-confrontational, like in terms of that type of stuff. So we're just kind of at the end of the bench with him. We're looking for security. Like, what's going on here? We're trying to watch the game, but also make sure Blake's all right. So people are half holding him back. We're getting a bucket to go take the lead with 20 seconds left. And then security runs over. We have 4 security guys who travel with us, so they all run over. And they're like, what happened? What happened? Like, this guy kicked me in the leg like twice, just trying to watch the game. And he got kicked out with his buddy and his wife and a couple other people. It was interesting. I haven't experienced something like that before, even though it wasn't directed at me.
Yeah, jeepers.
But that's kind of like Philly fans for you there. They don't really care.
I wouldn't. I got a kind of one along those lines. I wouldn't call it a fan experience, but it was just a basketball experience. After we transferred from Marquette, I don't know if it was like right away after we transferred, but I would get FaceTime calls and phone calls from random numbers. And every once in a while, I'd pick up because I'm like, okay, is this someone I know? One time, just a bunch of dudes are just like yelling on there, like, "How dare you effing traitor!" They're calling me Judas, and I was like, "What is going on?"
Aww.
Yeah, so I was like, that didn't make me feel too good because we were still on campus, and I was like, didn't want to go to class. But then we play Marquette, and when I'm at Michigan State in the game to go to the Sweet 16, and the night before the game, I'm getting these calls on my phone at like 2, 3 in the morning. I had to put it on Do Not Disturb. So it was the same. I mean, I would guess it was the same guys. I didn't answer them, but it was a Chicago number, and that's who was calling me those years past. So
yeah. There was
some
I had a couple
some
I had a couple weird
students.
interactions with some Marquette students after that happened too. They weren't so friendly.
I will say quick shout out to the Joey Hauser girl. She would wear a big I love Joey Hauser shirt.
Yeah.
Right behind our bench. That was a big fan experience right there.
We met her. Mom and I met her, and she came, and I think she was tapping Mom on the shoulder like constantly, like saying hi to us.
Hey, she was a loyal fan.
Very loyal.
Yeah.
So you remember that really drunk guy at Seton Hall your freshman year who was yelling just at you and me during warm-ups? Because we were the only 2 like white dudes out there.
Yeah. I got a lot of Hauser, like, your brother's better than you. Once you were out of college, I remember I got a bunch of, I think we were at Butler, and I was shooting free throws, and they just chanted Sam is better the whole time. Yeah. What do you got for us today, Dad? What's your wise words?
Today we've got, for the world of basketball players and little, whatever age, avoiding foul trouble. Fouling,
It's a good one.
it plays a critical part of the outcome of the game, especially when it comes to playoff time and big games. Fouls were added to the rule book to penalize people, right? However, intelligent players and teams use fouls to their advantage as well. So when it comes to fouling to gain a competitive edge, there's really no margin for error. The difference between fouls being your ally or your enemy really rests on a single foul. If you analyze fouling, you'll quickly see that every time you step on the court, you can count on receiving these 3 basic calls. You're going to receive at least one bad call during the game. Okay. Your second foul is probably going to come on a judgment call, whether it be a block or a charge, sometimes over the back, things like that. And then you might have to take a foul for strategy reasons. So therefore, you're in foul trouble right away then before the game starts, because you're going to get those 3. So you can really only think about it. If you commit one careless or lazy foul, you have 4 fouls then. So you may commit a careless foul early in the game and think you're okay because it's your first foul. However, since these other 3 are probably going to occur, you are definitely going to be in foul trouble immediately. So therefore, you become a defensive liability, especially if you're guarding low post. You're forced to play behind an opponent. You kind of become a prisoner down there. If your opponent is smart, then they're obviously going to attack you. So what constitutes a lazy or careless foul? We have a list of them, but I'll just go through a couple. obviously not move your feet, being lazy, not getting in position, being tired or out of condition, a lot of frustration or emotion, all because you're slow getting back. We talked about going over the back of an opponent, fouling somebody in active shooting. So there's quite a few different ways of fouling, but one of our best players in the girls team at the high school was getting in foul trouble a little bit quick early. So I gave her the article the other day, and Janelle said she still had fouls. So, but you get one foul because there's other situations that are going to happen. So you really got to be smart with your foul.
I remember you sending me that article when I was in college because there definitely was a period in time where it seemed like I was pretty much guaranteed like 4 or 5 fouls rather than 3.
Well, the speed's a lot different, so you
Yeah.
being out of position a lot, you end up trying to grab and reach, So.
Yeah. So, yeah, don't foul. Stay in games.
Yeah.
Guy's got an open layup and you can't block it. Might as well just let him get the open layup.
Yeah. That's,
or make your foul worth it. Yeah.
Or really hammer him.
Like,
yeah.
You don't, yeah.
Sam, when you were at Virginia that year you played, Coach Bennett's defensive structure a little bit, like I didn't go to practice, but the concepts, but sometimes you would funnel guys, and if they did get by, Jay Huff would always, it's nice to have a guy block shots. Now, you guys play in different leagues where there's different rules that's not always possible.
Yeah, you got that shot blocker back there, like no reason for you to try and block the shot. Let him do the work and you scrap up the rebound,
Yeah, we call that an occupy and contest with the Celtics. Guy on the ball kind of occupies them, and then the other guy contests it.
We used to say it in high school a lot, actually. I remember you always telling us in high school, like, hey, if you kind of get, like, beat, like, don't try and, like, jump with this guy because I'm at the rim. And you were a good shot blocker in high school. I was just kind of like...
It's all relative, we were playing like 5'10" white guys.
So I'm saying you were the Luke Cornett of Central Wisconsin, essentially.
That's fair. That's fair. I didn't have the eclipse down, but had the shot block.
Yeah. Did you have a Cornett contest there a day, Sam?
You did.
You had a half one, half one. Yeah, it was
worked.
I remember Mom saying like, "Oh, Sam did a Cornett contest." I didn't see it, so
it wasn't a full eclipse. It was like a half moon.
That's good. Good wise words there, Dad, and appreciate that. Always a good segment. But we'll hop right into our next one here. We got Steven Izzo coming up for you guys. All right, here we go. As we said, we are happy to have and officially welcome our third official guest, Mr. Steven Izzo. Welcome to the On The Haus podcast, Steve-O.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Unfortunately, the big house can't join us right now. We're starting to learn that scheduling is the hardest part about running a podcast. But anyways, we're excited to have you. I know he wishes he could be on there with you. But let's get right into this, Steve-O. So as we talked about, you were a walk-on at MSU 2019 to 2024. You were my teammate for all 4 of my years at Michigan State. You were my roommate for 2 of those years. And a fun fact, I think my first time on a visit there in high school, I think your dad, you were just like hanging around the offices. Maybe that day you were in high school at that time, but you were the first person I met. He was like, hey, come over here and meet Joey. This is my son, Steven. But obviously I went to Marquette, went a different route there, but then transferred to Michigan State. And we kind of came in essentially like freshmen together. So we spent all our 4 years together, and we've been tight ever since. So
yeah, I remember going to your high school games and stuff at Spash and.
No, you came to a game at Merrill.
Away game?
Yeah, Merrill, Wisconsin.
Yeah, a kid followed me to the bathroom to take a picture. It was one of your like classmates or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember going to some high school games of yours, and then obviously your official visit when you were at MSU. And I have a video of you in high school splashing some threes, I think working out with McQuaid. And
I remember that.
Your dad's in the background. He's like, he doesn't miss or something. And it's still saved in my stat memories.
Good recruiting job by Dave.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's crazy though how it all kind of worked out, going to Marquette and then how it ended up, coming to MSU and then us being super tight because we hit it off even when we kind of first just, in passing had met each other. Yeah. But obviously, people know your dad. He's an MSU legend. He's obviously like the unspoken president of the school, I like to call him. But he's been at MSU for 30 plus years, a head coach for 20 plus years. But with that being said, what I like to think of you is kind of like the Michigan State poster child a little bit. Like you are what everybody, like, you kind of embody what it means to be a Michigan State Spartan. Like, I think you truly represent the school. You've been, I mean, obviously you just grew up right into it, having been in that household.
Yeah.
But everybody like loves you, not just within the basketball offices. Like, you walk around the city of East Lansing and people know who Steven Izzo is. They want to be around him. They want to talk to him. But it speaks to who you are as a person, not just, you know, what you did at your time there. In terms of like your basketball impact, like, obviously you didn't play. You were a walk on. There's not, but.
There's
Like,
no disrespect there.
Yeah, I mean, I would always get questions like, "Hey, can he like play a little bit? Like, is he any good?" It's like, have you seen him? He's like 5'5". No, he can't. He's not any good. But with that being said,
I'm interrupting you. I remember
good.
that one kid. I remember we were out somewhere and the kid's like, "Yeah, I think he's gotten so much better. Like, he's gonna get some real minutes." And we're like, what?
Yeah.
What is this guy talking about?
But even with that, like, being said, I would put you amongst the greats of like Magic Johnson, Draymond, Mateen Cleaves, because after a while, you know, people kind of forget about what the game looked like and the numbers they put up. Like, just remember the impact that they had on Michigan State basketball. Like, your impact is up there with those guys. Believe it or not, you might not know that.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but I appreciate that. I don't know if I agree, but I definitely have some fan base going.
Well, just think about this. Like, every single game that we played, if we were winning even if we were up by like 10, the last 4 to 5 minutes of the game, they're already chanting Steven. Like 15,000 people are chanting Steven just to put you in. And if your dad called you down the bench, like, the place would erupt. And if you got in the game, every time you touched the ball, they were screaming shoot, 94 feet to 0 feet. They're screaming shoot it. And it just was like, name another place where that's happened. I don't know. I mean, every single game, every single night. Like,
what was that like, Steven? Having the crowd that like so invested in wanting you to get in the game and get a basket.
You know, when you go into those moments, like, I always blacked out. Like, I always, you know, I'm just like, don't mess up, don't embarrass myself. So I kind of just blacked out. But, you know, towards the end, I started to embrace it. And I remember the first game, like, I originally was planning on redshirting and then, like, going through college because, you know, Joey's my best friend. So I was like, he's sitting out, I might as well sit out. And so, and that's like a true thing. Like, I was 100% committed to redshirting. And I remember my dad came down to the end of the bench and he's like, you want to play or are you redshirting? Like, what's your decision? And then I kind of was just sitting there. I'm like, this is a weird spot to make the decision. Like, I thought it was pretty clear that we were redshirting me. And Joey's like, dude, you're going to play the most this year. And then I was like, all right, I'm not redshirting. So I checked into that game and burned my red shirt game one.
Yeah. That's good stuff right there.
What's crazy is so you had never scored a bucket in my time there, but our first exhibition game ever of your career and my career at Michigan State, it was an exhibition game, so it didn't count. You got in and you rattled home that free throw, which and I remember
part of the rim.
Yeah, hit every part of the rim. They panned right to your dad, and he was tearing up. And I wasn't ever thinking like that's going to be his only bucket that I'll ever witness in my time here. And it wasn't, it was an exhibition game, so it didn't count as an actual in the stat sheet bucket. Yeah. But you finally got it done last year, and it was you made a heck of a move.
It was a great move. Yeah. Hey, what is it when you go in? Is your dad is he coaching you like a classic father-son coaching
he
player?
Got mad at my shot selection, but when you're up by 30, I don't think shot selection really matters. I feel like it's just get him up while I can.
No, of course.
But no, he wasn't really. I guess he'd relax. I mean, he didn't want me to embarrass or try to run up the score or talk trash, but he wanted me to have fun. So
yeah.
The other thing that was tough is when you would sub in, you're getting face guarded by.
Dude, I got guarded like I was LeBron. Well,
they weren't
in his prime, we'll say.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I would.
Nobody was letting you
the whole
finally
time.
score. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody wants to be the guy that gets the first bucket of someone's career scored on them.
Yeah. Especially when the fans made it so much more difficult by cheering for 5 minutes.
I wish I could. I wish I could have been there for the first one. I wanted to see how loud that place was. The first
It
and
was
the last
nuts.
bucket you scored.
Yeah. First
Yeah.
and last, yeah, exactly.
Did you make the
Yeah,
free throw? That was an and one, right?
I did make the end one.
You gotta make it. The Izzone. There's nothing like the Izzone. I'll be honest. I went to a game, one game or two games at the Brez, and I was very impressed with the student section and the atmosphere in there. It's pretty cool place.
You actually came to. We had college game day there against Maryland. It was the year I was sitting out.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know
I remember
how you
that.
made it, but
I was my redshirt year as well, so I was able to get a little leeway to travel.
But moving on from that, that was kind of further down my notes, but I'm glad we talked about it. Kind of going back, taking it back a little bit. Like, obviously, all three of us know your dad, and we know how much time he puts into what he does. His intensity. I mean, a lot of people take it a different way. We know him for who he is, but like, what was it like, kind of growing up in that household? Because I've never really asked you. Like, I've always been curious. Like, how how did you navigate that?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I mean, he's the same guy, but very loving, very caring.
Yeah.
Always wanted the best for me. So like, there was never any criticism of like out of like I'm just mad, so I'm gonna take it out on you. Like he never did that. He was. I mean, I didn't mess around or do anything. Like I got good grades in school and worked hard. But yeah, I mean, like he's a parent, so if I mess up, like I'm gonna hear about it, or he's gonna be my dad. I will say the only time where he ever like brought work home was we had lost to, I think it was Iowa on the road. He was pissed. I had just gotten one of those like Segway things, those like two-wheeled things. I'm like riding it around the house. He comes in. He's mad that I'm having just a grand old time. Got the Xbox nav for me. Got the Segway nav for like phone like 2 weeks. But that was the only time he was like, "Oh, you think it's fun?" Like, I don't know. I was having fun after we lost, and he was like, "It's not fun" or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the only time I ever gotten work. Came home. Other than that, he was dad at home. He didn't try to do the, whole. He wasn't like bringing work home.
Yeah, that's cool.
And
That's cool.
he respected like me in sports. He wasn't gonna try to overly coach. And whereas a lot of parents in high school, I feel like do get involved. My dad was like so far out of the picture of that.
Yeah.
He just wanted to let the coach do the coaching.
That's cool.
That's stuff that we've talked about a lot on this podcast.
Yeah.
But you got some, Sam? Or
I was gonna wonder what's his best meal that he makes at home.
So it's really weird because well, my dad definitely can't cook, but
yeah.
That's why I asked.
So obviously my mom's Hispanic, so my dad makes the best nachos, but my mom makes the best spaghetti. It's like the weirdest thing.
Hey, that's
nachos. That sounds
Yeah.
exactly like a meal for someone who can't cook. Nachos.
Your mom makes some really good salsa, though. I will say that. Yeah. Hey, your dad. He cooked for me at the when I was up at the lake house this summer.
House,
Remember
we had some steak.
I heard they were overcooked a little bit.
They were very well done.
He only does well done.
They were well done, but they were still good.
That's
Funny
good.
thing about the salsa, I remember freshman year we moved into the apartment. My mom brought salsa over.
Big jar.
Yeah, the big jar, and out of nowhere I'm like, "Hey, Mom, Joey says salsa tastes like ass."
Yeah, you were dogging me. I was just like, "Geez, Steven, I've met your mom like twice." I mean, she knew you were joking, but
yeah, I'm like, "Mom, Joey said the salsa was bad." My mom's like, "What?" And Joey's like, "No, I ain't say that."
I snuck down late at night and probably ate the whole thing. That's what happened. But you kind of alluded to it.
Clip the A word out of there.
You alluded to it a little bit, but you talked about like your dad not bringing work home, and that's something that I give you both credit. Like I think you guys probably talked about it or talked about a decent amount. Like, how did you separate? Like when we're not, especially when you were at Michigan State, when you were on the team, how did you separate that? You're my dad here, but here you're my coach. Like we don't.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing was just like obviously gaining the trust of like players and the locker room. Like I wasn't going to be going home and being a snitch or like, I don't know. I was obviously fortunate enough to be on the team, fortunate enough to be in the locker room. Like I wasn't going to risk my relationships with the guys, and the guys took me in so much as just like a regular person, rather than, the coach's son.
Yeah.
And it was very separated. Like guys could crack jokes on my dad in the locker room or make their complaints, and I was never going to be like, oh, so-and-so said this. Like, it was just because, I mean, at the end of the day, like, I'm in all the practices, all the lifts. Like, I'm frustrated just as much as we're in the building. Like, when it was those long periods of days, like, yeah, like, we go home. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, yeah, that was so fun. We were just there, like, the whole time. We had a 3-hour film session. That was great. Like, yeah, that was really boring. Like,
yeah. And I remember keep going. I mean to cut you off.
Just the big thing was just to, like, obviously, we went through the same thing. I wasn't going to try to undermine anybody.
Yeah. And I remember when you first got there, like we said, my first year was your first year. There was a little bit of like guys weren't really sure what they could do around you in the locker room. Like they didn't want to, maybe invite you over on a weekend because they didn't want you telling your dad or the other coaching staff what they were doing. But after, like, honestly, I think after our first summer, like that was pretty much gone, like right away.
Yeah.
And then by the time you're end of your career, like you're the one in the locker room, like, what are we doing in practice? Like, why are we coming in, talking about the coaching staff? And I mean, you ended up being during my last year there, you were one of our more vocal like leaders. People might not see that, but you for sure were.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to stay low key. I wasn't like, I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm a vocal leader. I kind of just let everyone else.
Yeah, but you definitely stepped into like a way bigger role,
Yeah. As time went on, I definitely kind of embraced the role. Like, I mean, obviously you earn your stripes as a freshman. I mean, I could see stuff that was going wrong. I mean, we won the Big Ten, so it's not like there was much going wrong. But like, what do you call it? As I got older, you get more stripes, and then you can kind of say things how you want to say rather than be a people pleaser or whatever. And I think people respected my honesty because at the end of the day, it was like I cared. It wasn't I'm just going to yell at you or try to get on you because I just feel like it or because the coaches get on you. But I think one of the bigger things that I did was if I was going to call someone out, I always made sure to follow it up with like a positive. We learned that from Andy Driscoll's class, me and Joey. I always just tried to like give a positive so that it didn't come off as like attacking the person or them getting in their feelings about things. So I think that helped.
I gotta ask because there is a story behind this, I believe. What was there? Was there like an agreement about you coming on to be a walk-on and playing for your dad? Wasn't there like you had to go out for basketball or something your senior year?
Yeah, so my junior year we weren't very good, and just like wasn't
in
playing
high school.
My junior year of high school we weren't very good, and I wasn't playing very much, and kind of frustrated. And I was like, man, I kind of want to maybe explore some different ropes. Like I didn't want to do sport. I kind of just like, no, senior year, might as well just like enjoy it and like hang out with my friends or whatever. And I was like, I've obviously seen a bunch of college coaches that have had their sons walk on, and I had always talked to my dad about like my dream to play at Michigan State, and I was like, yeah, maybe I just take a gap year and just work out and get strong, and then like come out and walk on. And he's like, no, that's not how this works. Like I gotta have someone that played basketball. And so I was like, all right, well, he wanted me to play a sport, so he's like, either you're gonna play golf or you're gonna play tennis or soccer. I don't really care what it is. Like you're gonna do something. Which, like, yes, kudos to him. Like, I'm probably going to run the same operation with my future family.
Yeah.
The kids are going to be in sports. But, so I ended up playing basketball my senior year, and I wasn't the greatest teammate my junior year. Just, like, frustrated, whatever, as everyone is, and going through ups and downs of emotions. And I went to my coach, and I was like, look, I was on some BS last year. Like, I wasn't a good teammate, but, like, I see that, and it's never going to be that way again. Like, I'm fully invested And I remember my coach being like, "This is crazy. Like this kid's nuts." Like he just admitted to that. Like what 17-year-old, 18-year-olds admitting to like being a bad teammate? And talked to my coach, and like I was a captain that year. Basically, was a captain. Like we kind of I didn't do the what do you call it? Oh, this person's captain, this person's not. It was like I was just one of the leaders because I was trusted by my teammates and I was honest and I cared about everyone's growth and everything else. And to this day, my coach gave a speech on our senior day in the auditorium or whatever, and I was the only player. He's like bawling his eyes out, crying. And I was like, I made a good impact on this guy. And we still talk about it a little bit to this day on just like how kind of kids don't realize what their actions were at that young. And I just was like, yeah, I wasn't being a very good teammate to my guys.
Yeah.
And I was frustrated. So I got a lot better and grew from that experience.
Steven, was there ever a doubt in your mind you weren't going to go to Michigan State?
I looked at some other schools, but yeah, I never applied. I thought Grand Valley was going to be, a cool school just because it's in Grand Rapids, a little ways away, an hour away. But then I realized that Michigan State's like the coolest school of all time.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Well, much like your dad, our parents gave us pretty much no option. We were either playing a sport or working a job, and Sam did not play football his senior year. he was rolling up pizza dough,
making pizzas at a family restaurant. Yeah,
nice,
making some coin.
So you finally get to Michigan State. Kind of like, what do you think? Like, why are walk-ons so important for Division I basketball or any Division I program, any sport? Like what?
Yeah, I mean, I think
go.
Yeah, I think walk-ons are just like very important to like as a team player. I think there's a lot of dirty work. Like you're on scout team, your redshirt year, and you're probably the best player on our team. And I'm like not even just saying that because you're here. Like you were destroying our starters, and it was like, wow, if this kid's eligible, we might as well just get the national championship at this point.
One of Sam's teammates might argue that I was the best player in that team. Xavier Tillman.
Yeah, true. Yeah. But
or Cassius.
It was it was just like a what do you call it? He was on scout team. He was destroying our starters, gave everyone a good look, and the looks that he gave us for scout team were probably better than what the teams were. Like the team starters that we were playing, and he was our scout team guy. Obviously, because he kind of got cheated out on that. I'll say it. My dad probably won't say it, but you got cheated out on the redshirt year.
Yeah,
quite ridiculous, but whatever.
Well, what sucks is, it's a whole nother story. But we would have transferred a year later. It wouldn't even matter. We wouldn't be able to transfer.
Yeah.
But no, it was I mean, I just think the scout team guys obviously have a huge benefit to the program of giving teams the right look and getting you prepared for the next game. And I think that it's one of the coolest things in sports. Like you said, how I was cheered for, like it's rewarding for like all the hard work you get, that all the fans love you at the end of the game. And like even to this day, like Nick Sanders is like now the fan favorite. And it's like these guys, like I'm not going to, like the guys that don't play are like more beloved than like some of the starters because they're just so used to seeing the starters. They're like, I kind of want to see the bench guys get in and throw up some shots. So
I feel like walk-ons, like just from my experience, I wasn't at Michigan State, but you guys really got to love being a college basketball player or on the college basketball team because you guys go through some shit, honestly. You go through the long practices, you go through conditioning, you go through the lifts, and you don't get to play unless, the team's up by a lot of points, most likely. So credit to you guys because I don't know if I'd be able to do it.
All those lifts I puked in for like 3 straight years made it all worth it.
Which I don't understand how like a lift makes somebody puke, but apparently for you it does because I've never seen anyone else puke at a lift.
It's because we didn't have intern Alex telling me to breathe the first 3 years.
So what, kind of along the walk-on line here, what advice would you give for somebody who's maybe going to be a walk-on or is on that line of like, you weren't quite in this position, but they could go play at a high-level Division II school or Division III school, but they're also been offered a walk-on spot at like a Michigan State. Like, what advice would you give for a walk-on, and what would you tell that person maybe in that situation? Like, what are the benefits of going to be a walk-on?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the benefits of being a walk-on, like especially at Michigan State, is like all the cool things you get to do. Like, I mean, we played on an aircraft carrier. Like, you know how many people would want to do that? Or played in the Champions Classic. Like, there's not many people. There's 4 teams that get to do that. I think obviously, yes, if you want to play and do all that, you kind of see it now. There's like guys transferring from football teams and basketball teams, and I'm like, dude, like, I mean, if you want to go play, go play. But if you're going to just transfer and, like, you think you're going to go to the same level, like, you might as well just do it at Michigan State at this point because, like, there's so much – everyone cares about you. Like, it's not like you're going to be a forgotten person or anything like that. Also, Michigan State, we got a chef, 2 meals a day. A lot of benefits to that.
There it is, man.
For sure. For sure.
I still use it to this day. Joey still uses it when he comes back to East Lansing, but
yeah, as he should.
Shout out to Marsha and Tom.
But yeah, there's just a lot of benefits to being a walk-on, a lot of cool opportunities, and just at Michigan State in general, like the reach that you have. There's like 6,000 living alums. Like you can network with so many people. And
600,000.
600,000. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah. No, you got you.
600,000 living alums that you can network and potentially work for once you're done being a college athlete. And even if you're just a student at Michigan State, like I think that the greatest thing ever is just the go green, go white thing. I've had so many conversations start just by wearing Michigan State stuff, and some people don't even know who I am. They're just like, go green. I'm like, go white. And then they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, I played basketball for 5 years. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm like 5'7", so pretty crazy, right? And then we get to talking.
Was Keon Coleman technically a walk-on?
Well, he was on a football scholarship, so technically he was a basketball.
Well, for you guys, yeah. That has to be the most athletic walk-on ever at Michigan State.
Yeah, he wasn't a walk. I mean, yes, yeah, we'll say.
Well, basketball walk-on.
He didn't take up
football scholarship.
Yeah, he didn't use a basketball scholarship.
Yeah, by far the greatest walk-on athlete ever.
Also,
yeah, you got it.
My first year, the year I sat out, our scout team, speaking of, a combination of walk-ons and some scholarship guys, we always had this debate. We think we could have finished. The Big Ten was how many teams at that time? Like 14?
14.
Yeah.
We think we could have finished above 10th. We were that good.
Yeah, dude, it was a deep roster. We had like 8 guys on scout team.
Yeah.
We probably got the same amount of minutes.
Yeah. Well, we did include some GAs, so it was a little bit, But
I'd like to throw my hat in the ring for our scout team at Virginia that year. We were, knock on wood, we were pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I can only imagine. Well, too bad we didn't play you guys.
It's true.
In like 10 years, maybe 20, when everyone's retired and
we'll get the scout team
put on
together.
some weights, we'll do Michigan State scout team versus Virginia scout team, and you two sat out.
I remember, like in the summer before you start getting into like actual scouting for opponents, they kind of strew together like the team in the red jerseys, and for some reason you had to step in on a play. I mean, it wasn't very often like you were in on the live play.
Yeah.
But it was Magic was back watching practice, and I remember I came off like a screen or whatever, and I'm kind of like probing. I just zipped on over you to the corner. You were wide open. You drained it, and you held your follow through right up in front of Magic. Literally, like one of our first practices together.
Yeah, I remember that was like it was like NBA 3. We'll throw that in there. But I remember
probably pull a film if we really needed to.
Hey, it was an NBA 3. But I remember he came back for another practice, and we were doing scrimmages like green versus white or whatever, and there was like they just like sub me in to get some guy rest, which was like quite ridiculous considering it was like they don't care about the score, but it was like a 4-point game, and I just happened to be in the corner in front of him. cash another 3, solidify the game right there. I remember he like gave a speech, and I was like, I just raised my hand in the middle of his like speech, and he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Come to more practices. I just don't miss in front of you." And he's just like, I remember the shot. I mean, he probably doesn't remember the shot, but he said he remembered the shot. So
Maybe
I'm
he'll
a practice,
tweet. Hey,
practice legend.
maybe he'll tweet about it.
Yeah, hopefully.
His Twitter game is really good.
I'll send him the film.
Yeah. Speaking of Magic Johnson, Steve-O, you can answer this one or you cannot answer this one. Who is your favorite Michigan State Spartan of all time?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, that question probably would get me in a lot of trouble answering individual Spartans, but
Okay. Yeah.
Well, then go like top 3
yeah,
then.
yeah. No, I was gonna answer it, but
Well, I figured
okay.
you didn't. You figured you had one. You could name one,
yeah.
can't you?
I mean, the big thing is like all those players, like obviously love them. They're all like my older brothers, and now younger brothers. Now that I'm the old guy, but I was super close with Dan Chapman. He was local. He's a walk-on.
Yeah.
For 4 years. I was always really close with him. He kind of lived near my parents' neighborhood. Grew up with my neighbor across the street, so every once in a while they'd step in and babysit me, and I was just a wild kid. So we have some funny stories as me as a young kid that I'm not going to share, but just doing crazy things in the neighborhood, flipping off bikes and stuff. But so Dan Chapman's like number 1. And then obviously everyone's like pretty close, but ID, and I'll throw Joey in there because we were so close. But those 3 are all 1A.
Who's ID for the listeners? Just so I know.
Edong Ebok. So
there you go.
Yeah, basically like my older brother. Spend all our holidays together. So
it's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, we just.
Do you still talk to those guys? Like you still talk to those other guys like till this day?
Yeah, I mean, like I'll see them, I'll text them every once in a while, but I see a lot of the guys at the reunions and kind of catch up there. And
ID has stayed at the house while I've been at the house. So.
But yeah, those guys come over when for the reunion weeks, and now
That's
they
cool.
all have kids, so it's cool to meet their kids. And obviously now we got some guys' kids playing for my dad, which is very weird, but also super cool at the same time.
All right. Yeah, that's cool.
I thought maybe you're going to say Mateen because you're kind of named after him, Steven Mateen. But all right.
Is that your middle name?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, was born like 3 months after the national championship.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Is Steve? Is that technically for kind of like short for Steven Mariucci? Steven?
Yep.
Yeah, Steven.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I was named after Mooch. You're my Mooch. That's my thing. We're just gonna be like best friends that nothing ever separates us. And
speaking of Mariucci, everybody knows, you and him and your dad and him grew up together. Grew up together. They're best friends, whatever. But other than your dad, I want to ask a question: who are some of your biggest role models, not named your dad?
yeah, I think Mr. Wickens. Wickens, obviously,
Yep.
just being around the program, he's always there.
Who is he to your dad? Kind of explain that. Just
Mr. Wickens is like my dad's best friend. He's the one that keeps my dad's head level whenever if he's angry or upset or whatever.
Comes on a lot of the trips.
Yeah, he comes to a lot of the trips, comes to a lot of the game, or is at every home game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's ever missed. But yeah, he's just a very positive influence in the community as well as just with my family. He's like the closest thing my dad's got to a brother other than Mariucci.
Yeah.
And so that's someone I would look up to.
Ooh, I like this one here.
Yeah, we got a couple of ones.
The most famous non-basketball player that you have met in your lifetime to this point.
I got to give a quick shout out. This was a question I was looking for some more questions, and Kara Kay came up with this question.
Oh,
social media director.
Oh, this question?
Yeah.
Yep.
A couple of these questions she helped me out with.
I like that.
Well, obviously Barry Sanders is up there. Non-athlete or non-Michigan?
I guess non-basketball player. So that you're good.
Yeah,
Barry Sanders is pretty cool.
Why don't you give a
McConaughey for a quick second at the Golden State Warriors game, which is pretty sweet. And then obviously had a lot of jealous text messages from my mom and other
Females.
Females.
Oh, you got it like that, huh?
No, not like that. Like all my mom's friends were like, I can't believe you met him. And then pissed that my dad didn't go to the game with my mom.
What sporting event have you not been to but you would like to go to? Because I'm sure you've been to a lot of sporting events.
Yeah, I think there's all right. So my dad, my dad, and Mr. Wickens have bucket list things that we wanted to do.
Yeah.
So we wanted to go to see Alabama play LSU because of Nick Saban being so close with our families.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't do that, and he retired. So now we have a lot of regret. So the big ones we're trying to go to is Army Navy football.
I knew it.
game.
Yep. I knew you were going to say that.
So Army Navy.
Good one.
And then, I think the Kentucky Derby, definitely the Masters, are all up
I'll
there.
go with you to the Masters.
Masters is on my bucket list.
You buy the ticket, and I'll go with you.
Oh, I should be asking your dad.
We should be asking Tony Bennett.
It's true. Tony Bennett has played Augusta before. He said it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
He said he tried to read a putt on his own with no caddy, and he 5-putted.
That's awesome.
So Masters, Kentucky Derby, and Army Navy.
Yeah, I'll throw out the Meyer LPGA now that I am working for them.
Nice.
Get to go this year, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be awesome to experience that and kind of gain more of an insight of what I've been doing for the last few days.
Yeah, I made note that we'll touch on some of that a little bit.
Gotcha.
Should we dive
Yeah, I'm
into
very
that?
fresh into the job, so.
Yeah.
I like this. I got a good question for you. Since you're a new uncle, you got any advice for Joey, who just became an uncle 3 months ago?
Rough house. Gotta give him some. You gotta tackle a little bit. Not like, obviously, you're not tackling like you're in the NFL, but.
Knee football.
Got a
That's
rough
what we
house.
call it. Knee football.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait a little bit on that one because young fella's only about 3 months old here, so we got to give him a couple more months before we go rough housing this guy.
Once they can start walking and crawling, you just pull their legs so they can't move. It gets them really frustrated. I'm like a professional babysitter. I was babysitting for the few months I was not employed, and it was a good time. Yeah, I wouldn't say unemployed. I would say
You were job searching. You were taking your first break.
Gap year, your gap months or whatever you were
Your
calling
first
it.
break in I will
5
say.
years.
So every year at Christmas, me, Sam, on my mom's side, me, Sam, my cousin CJ, honestly, my sister and my two other CJ's two sisters, all of us, we would do this thing where we'd set up like a gauntlet, and all the aunts and uncles, we would run with a football, and they just would chuck pillows at us and undercut us.
See if we can make it through. Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about roughhousing, and we would do all of this when there's just a stone fireplace, just 2 feet right next to it. Yeah. Yeah. Nowadays, people would probably freak out if something like that happened. So I got a question here. Thanksgiving, college basketball tournaments have, they just happened. They just passed. But you've probably experienced every holiday tournament that there is in your time, as a player, obviously, and then just traveling with the team. In your opinion, what's the best Thanksgiving holiday tournament for college basketball?
Yeah, I think Maui and obviously the Battle for Atlantis are up there. I think Maui's got the coolest gym, coolest feel. Sorry, Joey, you didn't get to go, so I won't rub that in too much. But
tough.
It's a pretty cool place. A pretty cool place.
Yeah, just a cool, unique gym, very small and
really soft rims too. Holy crap! Oh man, did you see those things this year? Man,
5 points there. But yeah, no, just obviously there's a lot of history there, and then the Bahamas. I'm gonna throw the Bahamas a shout out because they got the best lazy river of all time. Ride that thing for hours.
Dude, it was freezing when we were there though. There wasn't a day above 60. I swear. Yeah, it was fun.
Other than your room smelling terrible.
Yeah, we had to get a new room. Something was messed up with it.
Someone pulled the Impractical Jokers, take a deuce, turn the heat up, and leave.
No, we had to turn the heat off because it was coming from the heat, the smell. So I don't know what they had going on, but it was bad. What is your best memory from when you were on the team at Michigan State?
best memory, I just love like the road trips and obviously being roommates with you for like every single one of them. A lot of cool things that we did. Like we'll talk about that later, the Iowa trip. But yeah, like the best memory, honestly, like just hanging out with the guys and like being able to go to different people's rooms and like chill with them and stuff like that. That was like one of the coolest things. Just like I don't know, hanging out with your bros.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say, but yeah, like obviously there's games that were a little more important. Like it's crazy because like that Duke game that we won at Cameron should have been like the greatest feeling ever. And if you walked in that locker room after the game, you would have thought everyone that we knew was just murdered in front of us because they were so mad about something. I don't even know what they were mad about, but it was just like, this is nuts.
Yeah.
Was that the COVID year?
It didn't have the same. It didn't have quite the same feel because there was no fans, but.
Yeah, I tell you what, I was watching that game because we had you guys on the schedule like a couple games after, and I was like, oh boy, we're gonna have some problems with these guys. And then our game never happened.
Yeah, and then we had a
started.
We had a very up and down year after that.
Yeah. Let's see.
Sam.
I'll go. Yeah, I'll go.
Yeah,
so at Marquette, my freshman year, Villanova was number 1 in the country, and we beat them at home. And everybody rushed the floor. It was pretty cool to be a part of. And then at Virginia, my favorite memory was we sealed the ACC regular season title on the road at Louisville that year, which was pretty cool. So that was the first time I had experienced winning a conference championship. So in college.
Oh, sweet.
So that was pretty special.
My best memory, oh man, it's hard to beat the Navy ship playing on that, but probably my best one, speaking of Marquette, was beating Marquette in the round of 32.
Oh yeah,
just because there was
a lot of history there.
Yeah, it was a total different coaching staff from when I was at Marquette, but I've never been booed so loud. Like, I mean, there's not many times when a person gets booed, but just being in that environment. And I remember your dad always gets booed every time his name's announced. Any opposing, it was a neutral location, but he got booed shortly after my name got announced. And I remember standing right next to him, and he kind of I think he like punched me in the chest, just kind of yeah, I got you. And it's crazy because I remember that moment, and it was like one of the first times not the first time, but it was like everything made sense to me. Like, okay, like this is all meant to happen. Like I was supposed to come to Michigan State and this and that, regardless of what was going to happen in this game. And obviously we beat Marquette, but
yeah, I think didn't he say something similar? Like I think you got booed really bad at
Wisconsin.
Madison.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he said to you, he's like you're not the only hated one here or something along those lines. Which is pretty cool. Obviously, just hearing his interactions with other players as if they're his own son, it's cool and unique to hear, and obviously brings a joy to my life.
Yeah, well, cool. Me and him, man, we go way back. Like he recruited me when I was in 9th grade, and he was really on me, wanted me to come, and we kind of had that connection through Coach Race and Pat Miller and all that stuff. And then I didn't come, and then it ended up that I actually ended up playing for him. So just kind of I think he really, and then I'm close with you, so I think he just, he looks at all of his players like sons. But yeah,
I think kind of when I was thinking about this, coming on the podcast and doing the show, is I think he looks at every player as if they're his son. I think he looks at every parent when they're in college as if they're, a player's parent. And then once your kid graduates and stuff, I think it's that's my friend. It's very, what do you call it? And I think with your dad, it's this is my son's best friend's dad. I think it was just kind of that connection. Obviously, your dad came to a lot of practices, and I could say that for a few other players, but I think just the connection that, we had really helped our parents' relationship and, connecting them to make them closer.
Yeah. All right, Steven. So you kind of mentioned earlier, some work with the LPGA and stuff. So kind of give us a rundown on what you're doing now with your time after playing at Michigan State and your time as a student, and what's looking like for the future.
Got it. So I'm working with a group called Outlier. They're a sports agency, sports management group, event management, and they are doing stuff. they do LPGA, PGA, and live golf events. Obviously, being from Michigan, I'm working with the Grand Rapids Meyer LPGA Classic by Simply Give, which donates food to food banks and very charitable with within the community, and giving back to the community is a big thing. And obviously, just with my life being in Michigan, being at Michigan State is a legacy, all that stuff. Giving back to the community has always been important to me, and obviously it was something I wanted to do as I got older. And so I looked for jobs in community outreach and ended up landing one a few weeks ago, which was pretty cool.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's in sports too, so it's the best of both worlds.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, whatever you do, you're going to do a heck of a job at it. You've been taught by the best, and so that's awesome to hear. But last little segment we got. Can't forget top 3. We got a couple for you, and the first one, I know you love Christmas movies, so we're going top 3 Christmas movies. I think you should start, Steven, and why don't you just give your top 3 right away?
Gotcha. I think the Santa Claus is up there. That's a Joey Howard.
The first one?
Izzo classic.
The first one?
The trilogy?
Or just the whole series?
The whole series.
Okay, that's fair. That's a good one.
Regardless of holidays, one of the best trilogy series of all time.
All right.
The Grinch is up there because I always watch The Grinch with my mom every Christmas. And this one's just not a Christmas movie, but I feel like Joey and I always watch it at the apartment during winter. Tommy Boy, and there's some snow in it, so it counts.
That's fair. That's fair. And he's rolling through like Michigan, Wisconsin. He's going through like the Midwest too. It makes it better.
There might be a Christmas tree in there or something. I don't know. Maybe.
All right. I'm going.
Sam, why don't you go?
Yep. All right. I got Christmas Vacation. I think I got to go Elf. And let me think here. I don't want to do any of the same ones, so I'm thinking of a different one here. I'll go Christmas with the Cranks is my third one.
That's a really good choice because that's
a good one.
That is Christmas with Cranks is my number 1, believe it or not. I don't know what it is with Tim Allen and Christmas movies. The guy just knows.
All right, I'll switch my last one to Four Christmases then. The one with Vince Vaughn.
Okay.
Good movie.
That's a good one.
That's a good one, yeah.
So I'm going to go Christmas with the Cranks, number 1. Probably Christmas Vacation, number 2. Those are the 2 I watch the most. And then I'm going to go, number 3. Let's go Santa Claus, number 3, The Escape Clause.
That's good. I would definitely choose The Grinch, though, 100%. That's in my top 3. I wanted to be different, but it's a great movie.
I respect it.
The real life one or the cartoon or like the newer one that came out that's like a Pixar type movie?
I like the Jim Carrey one.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say that's the best one by far.
That's actually like probably my top 3, but
I think third is the old animated one. That's dead last.
Right. I got the real original Dr. Seuss one.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. All right, last question. This one's only for you, Steven. Can you give us your top 3 MSU teams in the Izzo era?
Definitely 2020. I mean, if the tournament could have been played, I think obviously we got a shot at winning the national championship. I like the 05 team, and honestly, this team right now that we got right now, I mean, and just their connectivity and obviously leadership that Trey and Fears are bringing, as well as other guys, and everyone's doing their role and playing their part, and Cohen's like the greatest person to watch dunk the basketball, and it never gets old.
It's impressive what he can do. So you thought 2020 over the 2019 Final Four team, huh?
Yeah, that team.
I mean, I was on the team in 2020, so I got to have some bias there.
Hey, we got big. We did get
fair.
rings. Well, I shouldn't say we did. I got a ring actually, a Big Ten championship ring for being on that team.
Oh, you were on the team.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't. I was redshirting, but.
What year did your dad win it? 2000.
2000. I wasn't alive, so I can't say.
No. I know. I was just asking, just out of curiosity.
Yeah, 2000.
2005.
Wait, what year were you born?
I was born in.
Oh, you're born
June.
2000, right after it. That's
Yeah.
yeah. You said
Yep.
that.
Yeah. Oh, it's a good list. That's putting some pressure on the current team.
Well, you said the best. Did you say the best team or my favorite team?
I guess you took it as like your favorite guys, but I was kind of thinking like, what do you think the top 3 best teams? He's had. But the first 2 make sense. Like that was a potential national championship team and a Final Four team.
Yeah, I mean, I'll throw 2015 in there too because no one expected us to get to the Final Four, and we marched our way through everybody and got there. So,
dude,
who was on that team? Was that Denzel?
Yeah, it was Denzel, Costello. Tum was a freshman.
Trice was Trice still there?
Yeah, Trice was there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was a good team.
We beat Virginia and beat Georgia.
That was Kentucky, Wisconsin, Duke, Michigan State Final Four, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That year. Yeah. Right. I think that's a good Final Four right there.
One of your, just to kind of throw it, adding comment, one of your dad's most talented teams, 2018, Jaren's freshman year, Miles sophomore
second year, yeah.
They were
we lost like 5 games. I think we were 30-5.
Lost
Cassius.
I thought for sure you guys were going to win it that year.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
way to bring back a bad
Well,
memory.
I was just thinking of really talented teams. Yeah. That team was unbelievable. But anyways, appreciate you coming on. Always good having you on. Always good catching up. These people are going to see you're fun to talk to and fun guy to have on the podcast. But we appreciate it a ton.
Thanks, Steve-O.